All right, so tell me the second instruction. So we're going to rotate blank, and I said you had to change it to clockwise because there's either one or two directions wrong in the book. It's either the wrong segment it wants me to reflect by or the wrong direction it wants me to rotate by. So I went ahead and said we're going to rotate clockwise. Okay? We don't know what we're going to do, and if we're going to do it around 1 or by point D. Is that how they worded it? By point D? Around point D. Okay, around point D. So that's what we're looking for. We have to figure out how far we need to take it. Okay? Now, I need to technically look at the next direction because that's going to pinpoint how far. So what's the last direction it tells me? So we're going to reflect that image. So we know that it's going to be what? If I go ahead and I make a move at the second time, and I move that triangle, what are we going to call that triangle? Yeah, so we're going to say take, and we're not even going to need to name it that image. We're going to say take A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So we're going to reflect A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. What does it say after that? Overline DE. Okay? That's important for me to see because here's DE right here, right? So what am I really trying to do? If this is line DE right there, what am I trying to do on this rotation?
You're trying to get B prime over to where E prime is.
Very good. Now that's going to be very important when we start talking congruent triangles for next unit. She says, in this terminology, she says she's trying to get B prime over to where E is. Okay? Here's what you're really going to want to know. Your terminology for rotation is going to get simpler then. But what I really want to do is I want to take B prime and put it here because that would line my triangle sides up with DE. Do y'all agree with that? Okay. And so we got to figure out how to do that. All right. So yesterday I had you with this isometric paper. I was honest with you and said that it created some issues for me. I like the boxes just like you did. It's what I dealt with my entire life. Okay? So my question again, just like I asked you yesterday, how many triangles are touching the point D? 6 of them. So right here, I'm going to extend those lines. Try not to draw over my points. But I'm just extending those lines because that's actually going to really help me when I do some rotations here in a minute.
So the one that is right touching, the one that you drew, the line that is actually touching D, is where you would put the side of your triangle.
Yeah, so where D and D prime is?
No.
Or D and B prime, I mean, right here?
No.
Okay, which one are you talking about?
The other one, the next.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay? All right, we'll talk about that. So here's what we have. I'm going to take my trace paper now. This is the one that I drew right here that went my translation. So now I'm up here, correct? Now I'm up here. So I'm going to actually use the same triangle I traced, and I'm going to trace all of those lines. You called it like a spider web, right?
I called it a web.
A web? Not a spider web, it's a web. Not a spider maid, it's a Wallace web. Katie web. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm going over those lines. Some of them prettier than others. Does this line here in the middle matter?
No.
That's my translation line, right? So what I'm going to do, if I'm using the same piece of trace paper, I'm just going to scratch it out. So I know it's not part of that. If you need to use a separate sheet of trace paper, fine. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do now is I want to make sure that this side of the triangle lands over here. In the words of you guys, and right here means you guys that I'm pointing at, you want to take B prime to E. Can't you see it through my paper?
Yes.
And so I'm going to take it, and if I take B prime to E, this is what I want it to happen, right? I want to do that.
Yep.
The problem was it gave me a blank for the degrees. I went clockwise. We got that, right? But here's what I wanted to see that we need to talk about: degree measure. All right? So if you don't know and you drew the web, we're going to use our protractor to measure that degree mark. We're going to use a protractor. Hold up. Some of us...
Yesterday.
Well, you did. You're exactly right. But people are still asking me, so we're going to confirm it.
I forgot. I think it's 60 or 90.
So here we go. Here's my protractor. For those of you that need to practice with this, my vertex is is D, correct? Vertex is D. I put my point on D. My horizontal line is going to go right there. And what does it say my degree measure is?
60.
60 degrees. So I know that this degree measure right here
It's 60.
is 60 degrees, right? What about this other one? 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, because those are congruent triangles, correct?
Correct.
Good. Who said it back there? I love it when epiphanies happen. Good. All right, and so if I rotate this one time to right there, what's that degree measure?
60 degrees.
Did it take my B prime and put it on E?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Wait, no, I'm not.
Now I need to do it one more again, don't I? One more again. I rotate it one more time. Is my E prime on my D? Or B prime on my E? Is what it
That's
is?
what I told you to do.
And so therefore, how many rotations did I do? 2 of how many degrees? So it is 100. So I did 60, 60, which makes 120. So this is going to come out to be a 120 degree rotation.
You line up
And so when I did that, now I can put my new triangle.
to DE. You line the bottom of your triangle up to right there. That line.
Okay, and so what I get is I get this line. What do we call that triangle now? Okay, so let's put them in the corresponding spots, right? Which one came to E? So this will be B double prime now, right? That point's B double prime. Where's my A double prime at? So what do we call that? We need to use some terminology here. It's going to be up here at the vertex, right? Where the D was? So that's going to be A double prime, and we have no choice but to make that C double prime up there. Right? So, I'm going to shade these in so you can see them. This was my first move. This was my second move. All right, I'm going to pause it so y'all can fix that if you need to.